Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and this is our weekly TV news, or sometimes weekly. I mean, we missed last week. The one most important story from last week I did pull forward because we have to mention it because it's the most important news of the year. But other than that, there was a late news week last week. So
I
Connor's
actually don't know what that is.
making his face at me. If you've never listened to our show before or watched our show, basically this is us talking about renewals, cancellations, pilot orders, series orders, all that kind of thing, shows in development. We talk about them, maybe make fun of them a little bit, hopefully get excited about some of them, and
The occasional drinking game.
give you some updates just for shows we're reviewing at the end and things like that. And on that subject as well, there's also going to be a small Patreon announcement at the end of the episode, so stick around if you're interested. I'll just say it involves a future already cancelled, which if you don't know what that is just basically our version of reviews where we do a show that's not airing now. It's a classic show of some kind. So we're running through Star Trek right now, Twilight Zone. There's a few ongoing. So announcement at the end. Stick around for that. Anyway, let's get started. So the big thing from last week. Mr. Robot's premiere date for season 4, the fourth and final season of this baby. There was a small teaser trailer as well, which I chose not to watch because you know what? I don't need to see a frame.
I'm ready. Yeah.
I don't need to see a thing. It's Mr.
Question
Robot.
is, have you got time to rewatch it all?
Before October 6th, which is the premiere date. That
seems a good month.
It's 1 month. It seems ambitious, but they're not long seasons. So
The 10 to 12 episodes, maybe, something like that. From memory.
I don't want to make any promises. But yeah, so that is notably a Sunday though. We're changing nights, although there's actually a really obvious reason for why it's changing nights. Which Connor won't know, but they've got a new wrestling show on Wednesday nights, so I have to move.
I just assumed they recognised the prestige and was like, hey, everyone knows Sunday night's the prestigious slot. And I just,
Well, maybe that's why they picked. Maybe they had to move, but maybe that's why they picked Sunday. It's like, we can move it to Tuesday, we can move it to Thursday. But hey, wait a minute, Sunday nights.
It's also likely they just have less programming on a Sunday, so it was an easier place to slot it without moving anything else.
So I never watched the trailer. I will say some of the articles will had like a screen grab from the trailer, and I will say the one thing that I kind of like, and this is not a plot point or anything that's coming up. It was just the one thing I sort of felt when I saw the screenshot was like, oh, I missed that headroom.
I know that feeling.
I missed that headroom. I'm excited.
Oh man, I am so excited for this season. This do we know how many episodes this final season is?
It's 13 episodes, which actually makes it the longest of the seasons.
Yeah, that's okay.
Which is fine because it's a planned ending, and originally there was maybe more plans for like maybe 5 seasons. So instead of 2 10 episodes, we get one.
I do recall that he spoke about this at the time, going, "Oh, originally it was going to be, 2 seasons, and he realized he didn't have enough content for 2, so they gave him one longer one."
Which is fine. Him recognizing that's how much story he has is absolutely fine, and make the show a lot better.
This is just going to finish before the end of the year.
It's a Christmas treat.
Yeah.
The Mr. Robot series finale is a Christmas treat.
Assuming they give us one per week, because I know occasionally they have doubled up on the last episode.
And the first as well.
And the first as well at times. They don't mention that this time though, did they?
They didn't mention it, no.
No. Sunday the 29th of December would be the last episode.
Assuming they don't double.
Assuming they don't double anywhere.
I can see them doubling the last 2 though, and being a week earlier.
On the 22nd.
Before Christmas. I can see that.
Yeah, no one likes airing in that awkward space between Christmas and New Year's because people are doing other shit.
Yeah. And then the other big premiere date we got from HBO was for Watchmen, which is coming October 20th. So this is just a couple of weeks later, same night. Pretty big deal. One of the big new shows of the year. One that Connor will not be reviewing because he's on vacation that week.
I am. The girlfriend booked a week away, and by the time I get back, I will already have to catch up on Mr. Robot and The Deuce, and then be ready to watch the new episodes of those just days after I get back, basically.
Mm-hmm. So that's the second episode you'll also not be able to do.
Yeah, so at that point, I'm probably just not covering it.
Don't worry, people. There'll be Watchmen reviews there'll be Watchmen reviews. And we're not done with premiere dates yet, because we have one for Jack Ryan Season 2, which is not as exciting as the other two that were
Does it
mentioned.
come in a dead period for us?
Sorry?
Does it come at a period where, things are probably quiet and maybe we'd cover it? Or is it just a...
Well, it depends. It depends what Netflix shows we keep, but it's coming November 1st.
Okay.
Which is a Friday, which is normal for Amazon and Netflix shows.
Yeah.
So it's coming right at the start of November. I don't think we'll be covering this. If I was to make a guess, I would say it's not happening. It wasn't that exciting a show to talk about. It was fine. Wasn't great.
Yeah, it's not a terrible show by any means.
But I imagine there'll be more interesting things to spend our time on. So, but speaking of Amazon, though, they have cast their lead in the Lord of the Rings TV show. And I knew you'd wonder if I didn't mention this. So Will Poulter, who has a face I guarantee you know this guy's face.
I do, absolutely. He's been in all sorts of stuff as generally smaller roles, right?
Bizarrely, the thing that comes to mind for me is that comedy We Are the Millers, where he's like the teenage son in that. I don't know why that's the thing that springs to mind, but that's the first thing that comes up. Oh, he was in Midsummer. What am I talking about? He was in Midsummer like 2 months ago.
Not that long ago. Yeah, but no, We're the Millers. I can see in that. Yeah, he's one of those. He's one of those guys. He's not been in a ton of stuff, but the stuff he's been in, you tend to recognize it. He's got quite a recognizable face, doesn't he?
Yeah. Oh, and Amazon are on a casting streak, because the next news story I've got is that for Homecoming Season 2, Chris Cooper is going to be in a role. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cautiously optimistic about Season 2 of this.
Yeah, no, he's going to play Leonard Geist, an eccentric botanist who is more at home in his greenhouse than in the boardrooms of his company he created. So yeah.
Fair enough.
So just a couple of quick things here at the start. Some more another Amazon casting. I didn't even realize, I put all the castings together. I never even noticed they were all Amazon. But The Boys Season 2 has cast two recurring roles for Season 2. And
yeah, I like both of these.
Oddly, they're both from actors who came from the same show, because they're both from Timeless. If you remember Flynn and Gia from Timeless, those actors, Goran Viznik and Claudia Dumit, and I'm probably butchering both those names. Apologies.
Almost certainly. Yeah.
I'm feeling more confident on Dumit than I am Viznik.
I'd have to see it.
It might be Dumay or something like that. I mean, I have a sort of silent ending to it. But they'll both be cast in recurring roles in Season 2 of The Boys. And I like both actors, and I like Timeless. It's nice to see them pop back up.
Yeah, this is, Kripke bringing across other people, right?
Yeah. And obviously, Season 1 already had an actor from Timeless in it.
It did, yes, exactly.
Rufus. I was just trying to remember the character's name from Timeless. But also as that show ended, okay? I had to really think about it. But yeah, the actor who played Rufus, Malcolm Barrett, was in Season 1, so he might be popping back in as well. So
maybe, yeah.
I never expected a reunion in Season 2 of The Boys for Timeless, but here we are.
It's one of those, same showrunner. People are like, hey, hey, I like these people. Let's get them back.
Yeah, and then just a quick update here for something that's not happening is remember how Hulu wanted to do a big multi-series shared universe John Grisham thing,
yeah, I do. And I went, oh god.
Yeah, Rogue Lawyer, The Rainmaker, all these different things. Yeah, it's not happening.
They're giving up on that.
Yeah, it's not happening. They had 2 series in development that were going to be connected, and it's not happening. However, they are the producers are shopping it around at other places, and apparently there's interest elsewhere for it, so it might reappear.
I'm thrilled to hear that.
I feel like this is perfect for CBS. I feel like I don't care about it, but I feel like if this should go anywhere, it should be CBS.
In concept, I agree. The problem is if this was started at Hulu, this is probably too expensive for CBS.
Sure.
Because even though they make a ton of money because they have a ton of viewers, they're cheap. They like the profit too much.
All right. Well, here we go. Next up, so we're on to some new shows in development now. Fox is developing Saloon, an animated comedy. from writers Elliot Callan, who worked on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, and Jenny Jaff, who worked on Big Hero 6, the series, and the Rugrats reboot. That is an interesting combination of credits there. But, yes, so... If there's any production, it will likely be done in partnership with animated house Bento Box, which Fox Entertainment recently acquired. I guess it makes sense, bringing it in-house. So it's got a script commitment. It's set in the frontier outpost of Timmy's Town. Kevin, who's a woman, it makes a point of saying that to make it clear, Kevin's a woman, runs the local saloon. McClanahan's, his name is saloon, and she functions as the townspeople's unofficial leader, therapist, and protector. At the other side of Tommy's Town is the do-gooder Sheriff Stacey Leslie, a man. I see what they're doing here. They've got, gender opposite names. Whose only mission is to close Kevin's sinful bar and run her out of town for good. So again, it's animated. It's an animated comedy.
Yeah. Do you know what I learned about animated things this week?
What did you learn about animated things this week?
The writers who work on animated TV shows are not protected by the Writers Guild of America.
Oh, really?
They have to join the Animation Guild, and therefore they're not protected by Writers. So all the work that they do writing on animated shows are not covered by that, which is probably what leads to a lot of the stigma of you're just a writer for animation, not actual stuff, and I think that's pretty shitty. And I only found that out this week.
Yeah.
I don't see any good reason why they shouldn't be.
Oh, there isn't a good reason. It's the sort of thing where when they had arranged all this, it was almost like an oversight, and then it's just been stuck that way for a while, I imagine.
Probably, yeah.
Or maybe it wasn't oversight. Maybe it was a vindictive thing that happened. Maybe there's a story to it.
Maybe animation was looked down upon quite heavily at the time, and now it's just kind of been ingrained into the culture. I think that's a shame. I'm not saying every animated show is the best thing ever, and it did, but I'm sure all the writers are still proper writers.
Oh yeah, they still deserve to be paid and have job protection.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. Here's something else here's something that you're definitely not going to care about. So Netflix have got a multi-camera comedy, a NASCAR themed multi-camera comedy starring Kevin James in development.
I didn't think my interest could go lower when you said NASCAR sitcom.
It's called.
Okay, I already don't care.
It's called The Crew. Expect Ubisoft to be suing any day now. So, written by Jeff Lowell, who worked on The Ranch and 2.5 Men. The Crew, which echoes sitcom classic Taxi. Oh, that's a bold claim. Is set in a NASCAR garage, or garage if you're one of us, and stars James as a crew chief. When the owner steps down and passes the team off to his daughter, James finds himself at odds with the tech-reliant millennials she starts bringing in to modernize the team. Oh, this is giving me flashbacks to The Great Indoors. I don't know if you remember that Joel McHale sitcom.
I remember.
We tried that first episode of.
Nightmares.
It's that meets Taxi.
I suspect this is another misuse of the word millennial, isn't it?
Probably. Especially since at this point millennials, like if you're like 21 now, you're actually not a millennial. You're under millennials. You're the next generation now.
And this is clearly talking about that next gen. The 18 to 21, you're fresh coming in with all the bright ideas. Yeah. That's what this is getting at.
Yeah, I bet it is, especially by the time it airs. Because by the time it airs, it'll be another couple of years, and that cut off is going to be more like 24 or something like that. And
I want no part of this though.
Nor do I. Taxi's are okay. I've only seen a few episodes of Taxi. It's one of those things that the reruns would air at like 3 a.m. Back when I had the Comedy Channel, and I saw the odd episode. I like Christopher Lloyd, and Danny DeVito.
But it wasn't something you watched religiously.
Yeah. So I saw the odd one, and it seemed okay. A bit dated. Obviously, it was a 70s show, so it's quite old. Yeah. Probably the oldest sitcom that I've ever really watched any of, because most of the sitcoms I like start in the 80s and go through the 90s and stuff.
I assume you're not counting stuff like Fulton Horses there.
That's the 80s.
I thought it was 70s.
No, it's literally 80-81 that I think that started.
No, fair enough then. I thought it was late 70s.
The one exception would be Fawlty Towers, if we're talking British sitcoms, but I was thinking mainly American sitcoms when I said that.
No, that's fair.
To be fair, I think it actually holds true for the British ones. I think the only British ones that I like from the 70s, that, or at least I've seen, are Fawlty Towers and the criminally underrated Some Mothers Do Have 'Em, which is a hilarious show
Not familiar with that one.
about a guy who's just that clumsy. It's wonderful. He's a very camp guy, but he's really funny. He's got a lot of charisma. It's great.
Okay.
But anyway, so next up, Netflix has ordered a bunch of Korean originals. So let's read the article here.
We really liked at least one of their Korean
It
originals.
even mentions this is mentioned the second season for Kingdom, which was already renewed. We knew that when we watched season 1, but they've mentioned it again here. Because there was an Asian TV drama conference, and this is why there's been.
I feel like that's where we found out about Kingdom the first time.
So we have The School Nurse Flies, which is an action drama. We have sci-fi romance My Hollow Love. I'm going to assume it's a hologram, just based on that. And then we have a stand-up series called Park and Array Glamour Warning. Let's see what these are. So Kingdom's getting a second season.
Doesn't tell us when, I take it.
Nah. It also mentions an unscripted variety show called Busted.
It's a shame. I was hoping maybe they'd drop Kingdom in October for in the horror month and kind of just. I mean, they still might, but I feel like we knew about it quite far in advance last time.
Yeah. Oh, there's also another one here, extracurricular. This is weird. It mentions the 3 that I already mentioned, the new stuff, and then just casually puts at the end, extracurricular, the story of high school students who become tangled in a series of conflicts and events that challenge human values and morality. Round 6 is another one, a story of people who fail at life for various reasons but suddenly receive a mysterious invitation to participate in a survival game to win $10 million. Alright, that got more interesting at the end.
Did a little bit, yeah.
But Hunger Games, or no,
do we
Battle
have
Royale, sorry. I should say the good one, Battle Royale.
Yeah. What did they have a little bit of extra information on the first couple?
They have, seemingly for the School Nurse Flies, they have a little bit on, which tells the story of a newly appointed high school nurse who discovers secrets and mysteries with her supernatural abilities of chasing ghosts. Oh, I need to try that.
that could be insane.
Yeah. So nothing on My Hollow Love or the Park and Array shows, but there's a whole list of content there. So these are things that are going to sprinkle out over the next year, I imagine. Kingdom, for the record, that was back January, February season 1 was. So,
is that still this year?
It was start this year. Yeah.
Oh Jesus! I thought it was longer.
We thought it might come quicker because it was only 6 episodes and it was already renewed.
It was already renewed and presumably was already in production by the time we were watching.
And it still could. I can still see it maybe landing before the end of the year, but it also wouldn't surprise me if it ends up being just exactly a year later, early next year. Well be. So, but no, it's interesting. And then there was actually another one. It was a separate article here that I also caught. So the Crucible director Hwang Dong-hyuk, if I'm pronouncing that right, and I'm probably not, is making a Korean drama for Netflix. It's a mystery drama called Round 6. I think that was actually briefly mentioned on the other article there. The series, but there's a bigger description here. The series, which is the company's latest Asian original, is the story of people who fail at life for various reasons. Oh, here we go. Oh, this is the interesting one. This is the Battle Royale one. But suddenly receive a mysterious invitation to participate, blah, blah, blah. We read that part. The game takes place at an unknown location, and the participants are locked up until there is a final winner. The story will incorporate popular children's games from the 1970s and 80s of Korea, such as a Squid Game, literal translation of its Korean name, which is a type of tag where offense and defense use a squid-shaped board drawn in the dirt. So this took Battle Royale and added a little bit of 3%. I'm almost getting a little bit of 3%.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Mixed in with Battle Royale.
I'm open to this.
Maybe they're not fighting to the death, admittedly. Maybe that's the thing that I'm not comparing.
Yeah, I think it's the phrase survival.
Yeah.
Kind of makes you... It conjures that image, doesn't it?
It may be to the death. Like, I mean, honestly, it could go either way.
Yeah, I'm open to this, though. So far.
Director recently directed The Fortress, which he won various awards for. So, yeah.
Can't say I'm familiar, but...
I am not either, but I'm maybe curious to go check out. So that's round 6. So maybe there's 6 rounds to this survival game. But yeah, so some Korean content coming from Netflix. Very, very nice. And speaking of foreign Netflix content, they've ordered a Belgian original. It's first, in fact. It's called Into the Night. Written and created by Narcos and Scandal producer Jason George. Interesting that some of these like foreign shows are being created by people who've already made shows with Netflix and other territories.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So here we are. Into the Night will be directed by Overwater's Inti Kalfat and Dirk Verheij. I'll be honest, that name Inti was such an unusual name that I paused there to make sure that was a name because I wasn't like it didn't look like one. So yeah, so it's 6 episodes. George has written all 6 and will act as showrunner, and Tomek Baginski is also going to be producing, who worked on Witcher for Netflix, which obviously is coming soon. Into the Night tells a story about retaining humanity in the face of a cosmic disaster. As a flight departs Brussels, the series will feature an international cast from Belgium, France, Germany, Italy, Poland, Russia, and Turkey.
It's covering all that area of Europe quite nicely.
Yeah, cosmic disaster. That word cosmic's really interesting because the rest of it just sounds like it's going to be, like a plane disaster of some kind. But the word cosmic makes me think there's maybe going to be a slight, if not a sci-fi twist, like the disaster's to do like maybe a meteor or something like that.
Yeah, that's possible. It's an interesting choice of words.
Oh wait, there's more. They've split it up.
I was going to say, I wonder if is it possibly some sort of mistranslation?
But... No. Here we go. There's more. The series begins with a sudden solar event. Oh, it's the sun. As the sun inexplicably starts killing everything in its path. Oh, it is sci-fi. Okay, that sounds more sci-fi.
Yeah, it does.
The show centers around the lucky passengers and crew of an overnight flight out of Brussels as they attempt to fly west into the safety of the dark night. Yeah, this is sounding like a... It was a planet on the second Pitch Black movie, Chronicles of Riddick, where the sun was so hot that you could be outside when it was night, but they were literally running from the edge of the sunrise, in the morning because it was so warm. This is what this sounds like now.
Yeah. Keep do not let the sun catch us. Essentially.
Meanwhile, all the vampires are laughing. It's like, hey, we're used to this. So this is how we function every day.
Yeah.
Taste your own medicine, humans. The plane's manifest is multinational and multilingual, with passengers rich and poor, young and old, civilian and military, black or white, rich or poor. I'm sorry, I went into the Holy Fuzz and Horses theme there for a second at the end. That was a great joke if you're familiar with the opening theme of Holy Fuzz and Horses. If you're not, then
it was an okay joke.
It was a great joke. It wasn't a great joke on its own, but it was a great joke because you brought it up already.
I was going to say it only works because we mentioned it.
It was a callback. Yeah. The seemingly ordinary travelers share but one thing: a desire to survive the sun and each other by any means necessary. You know what? I'm actually kind of into this. The more I read about that the more it became this bottled group of survivors on a plane trying to almost have their Night of the Living Dead debates about how to solve the problems and get away from the sun.
Yeah.
This might be perfect for me. Possibly.
Yeah. I mean, when you have something like this, it is down to having impeccable writing. Because it has
absolutely. To. Yeah, no, it does. So this is coming in 2020. No specific window, but 2020 they're saying. So
that's fine. We'll look forward to
that. Very intrigued by that actually. It's a really interesting description. Next up, sticking with Netflix. Ryan Murphy is adding a couple of shows to his Netflix slate. So here,
because we have his first one hitting in just a couple of weeks, I believe.
Yeah, which we'll be trying. So, in an interview with Time, Murphy revealed that in addition to the adaptation of the Broadway musical The Prom, starring Meryl Streep and Nicole Kidman, which we knew about already, he will adapt the classic musical A Chorus Line into a 10-part miniseries. To add more to the pageantry of programming, Murphy said he is working on another miniseries about the iconic designer Halston, with Ewan McGregor stepping in the role of a man who changed the game of fashion. Halston has been a hot commodity in Hollywood of late, with the most recent documentary by Frederick Chang. So, yeah.
I feel like that went straight over our heads.
Yes, none of this is for us. None of that. It's worth mentioning. Ryan Murphy's a big commodity over at Netflix.
I like Ewan McGregor,
Mm-hmm.
But I mean that's as far as my interest in that goes.
Yeah. So on to the next thing then. Sony Pictures Television has optioned The City in the Middle of the Night. which is Charlie Jane Anders' praised sci-fi novel for TV show development, with Sharon Hall's Mom de Guerra Productions working on it. Notably, she worked on The Expanse and Utopia, and we really like one of those shows. So, you know, yeah. The novel was published by Tor Books in February and is set in an. Well, I don't know why that word confused me. For a second, I was like, "What is this word?" But it's just inhospitable. That's just fine. I don't know. For some reason, I read it weird, and I was like, "Infostable? What? Oh, in hospital. That's fine." It's an alien planet. So here's the synopsis: generations ago, the settlers of the planet January created a civil. What? They released the book in February. The book set in a planet called January, and they released the book in February. Come on, it's not that hard. It's not that hard to get this right.
I feel like someone missed a deadline somewhere. Oh, it's shit. It's being pushed by a week. And they're like, can we hold it till next year? No.
I tell you this, the TV show, whatever it ends up, better launch in January.
It will have to.
There'll be mad people not to. So yeah, so Cells, a planet called January, created a civilization on the edge of the endless environmental extremes, between frigid pitch black and blinding scorching brilliance. The city of Zeosfant functions with tyrannical precision, enforcing its citizens to work, eat, and sleep specific blocks of time, mandated day and night. So very regimented.
Mm.
And there's more here, right? Yeah, there is, hon. I'm like, that can't be the end of this. We need more.
So professional.
Sophie was a college student being exiled from the city on suspicion of treason. Driven into January's glacial night side to die, she is rescued by the planet's native inhabitants. Long hated and hunted by humans as animals, these extraterrestrial beings known as the Galette not only save Sophie, but form a telepathic bond with her in an attempt to build a bridge between their species. Returned to human society, Sophie finds herself swept up in a revolution to overthrow Zeophant's authoritarian government. It is war she wants no part of, a conflict that will only further decimate an already unstable planet. Now it's up to Sophie to convince her people that humanity's future and its very survival lies with the Gilead. This sounds
derivative.
I was going to bring a little bit of Dune in there, a little bit of basically any story where like human beings are awful and like drive people out and
they come back stronger.
Yeah, like any of that kind of thing. It sounds.
I mean, that doesn't mean it'll be bad. It could be perfectly good.
Yeah, I mean, the TV show could have like a whole like great style. It could be really well written, and it won't matter that the general concept has been done before.
Yeah. It's just hard to get excited about it based on premise because of that, isn't it?
Even though I love sci-fi.
Yeah, and just as a callback to something you said in one of the reviews last week, you were talking about how you dislike a lot of fantasy because of the stupid names.
Mm-hmm.
That was full of stupid names.
The Galette and the Zeosfant. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. I'll give you it. Yeah. All right.
I mean, it could be all right though.
Next up, Milo Ventimiglia is going to star as Evel Knievel in a limited series on the USA Network. Written by Ethan Frankel, who worked on Animal Kingdom. Evil falls into USA's wheelhouse of heroes, rebels, and icons focused on big stories. So they've done a lot of miniseries about various, like, iconic, people from history and things like that. The limited series is based on the story of Evel Knievel as he prepares for his greatest death-defying feat, the historic Snake River Canyon Jump. Evil is an exhilarating portrait of a complex man living the American dream, juggling meteoric celebrity and raising a family, and facing the very real possibility that his next jump will kill him.
Was that personal and professional?
Meteoric celebrity and raising a family. You know what? It is almost there.
I'm gonna count it. I think that was a little too close for comfort.
Celebrity as his professional life and raising a family is definitely personal.
It is.
No disputing that. So, I mean, sure. I mean, I don't know if Evel Knievel's story is worth telling. I'm not a big biopic guy.
No.
But hey, why not?
I mean, they got a solid lead actor at least. It's usually a good start.
Interesting Is he that solid though? I mean, maybe he's good in This Is Us, but I don't remember him being that good on Heroes.
I mean, he's got a decent reputation from everything since
Sure.
then that I've ever heard of. So
Yeah, that's fair. Next up, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is going to headline, write and direct Mr. Corman, which is a comedy drama series for Apple. So yeah, Apple, more content for Apple. So Mr. Corman is a half-hour comedy drama at Apple. Writers' room's being prepped. With writers and production scripts are getting churned out. Mr. Corman from A24. A24 put out good things.
they do tend to.
Is described as a deep cut into the days and nights of a public school teacher, played by Gordon-Levitt, in the San Fernando Valley. That is not much of a description. Basically, what you have here, though, is a good company and a good actor, who's also writing and directing, as it happens. And I did see his movie Don John, which he also directed.
I like that movie. I didn't realize he directed that one.
Yeah, that was his directorial debut.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was not bad. It was not bad. Seeing is a, it made me laugh when I was watching it though, because he has a lot of sexy scenes with Scarlett Johansson, and I couldn't help but feel like I'm going to rate all my scenes with Scarlett Johansson like this.
Yeah. I mean, in his defense, it worked in context.
Yeah, I mean the character he was playing, it made sense, but it was just.
But he made the character to make that make sense.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he this entire thing could have been like, I'm just going to do this so I can get the hottest actress on the planet to do sexy things with me.
Pretty much.
And I'm just joking here. I actually think Levitt's a great dude. So I'm not actually suggesting this, but
no, just because it's funny to think of it in that way. But I mean, I'm sure he had professional motives.
Professional and personal motives.
God damn it, I'm drinking for that. As soon as I said it, I was like, damn it, he's getting thrown this.
Anyway, next up, NBC is developing a cryonics drama from David Slack, Josh Berman producing, with Philip Noyce to direct. So writer David Slack is working on this. So written by Slack, the untitled David Slack project centers around an enigmatic billionaire who has gathered more than 250 people who have attempted to cheat death by having their bodies frozen, in the hopes that in the future there'll be a breakthrough that would someday allow them to be brought back to life. So this is a prequel to that Star Trek episode.
People never learn, do they?
However, as these people from different moments in time wake up, they soon realize that you can't cheat death without paying a price. So this is a full-on sci-fi show. This is them waking up in the future, and what I'm getting from that premise there is the idea that, okay, one person that wakes up is from our time period, but another person is from like another 100 years in the future, and they come from a completely different era and don't see eye to eye with the people who can wake up from our time period.
I wonder, is this a project that has been ongoing before? You know, we start in quote unquote our time. And we assume that's the base limit, but oh no, this is going on longer. There are people from 200 years ago that were frozen.
It doesn't sound like it just because of the way it sets it up. I have to imagine, because it says this billionaire gets 250 people. I have to imagine that he at least is at the start of the process, which means I think present day is probably going to be
It's likely, but I can just see that as the swerve going, oh,
Sure.
hey, look at this guy that you didn't think was going to be there. It's probably close to a season 2 swerve, though. Season 1 is all these people from the future, and it's like, oh, hang on, they're from before us.
Yeah, oh shit, yeah, there's a guy from World War II. Crap. Like,
yeah,
maybe they'll do that. Next up, this is an interesting one. Margaret Atwood, who wrote The Handmaid's Tale, wrote a sequel. Like recently.
Yes, recently.
Yes. And the show, there's reports coming from MGM Television that MGM and Hulu are developing it's called the Testaments is the title of the book, and it's set in the world of Gilead. It's set in the world of The Handmaid's Tale. It doesn't focus on the same characters necessarily. It's not like it follows June or anything like that. But what's interesting though is that they're not actually they're not actually sure right now if it's going to be a separate show or something they'll just incorporate into the plot of The Handmaid's Tale.
If it were me, I would be much more inclined to do that as, okay, we'll use this as the basis for future seasons.
Yeah.
Maybe, tweak it, twist it, input our characters in some way, but, just the ideas that it does, maybe we'll do those ideas and do our own version.
But again, maybe it's so widespread, because it sounds like it's much more about Gilead as a whole, so maybe it's just so much jumping around that you can't make it about June and Co. in the same way that maybe we're thinking you could just kind of like, redirect it to be that
Yeah, maybe
kind of
not.
thing.
It's having not read it, it's hard to say.
Also, it's worth mentioning it takes place 15 years after the final scene in the first book, which is the end of season 1, more or less.
Yeah, so we're already at least, a couple of years on from that now.
Not really, I don't think, because I don't think much time passed in season 3. Season 2 had obviously the pregnancy, so there was at least 9 months passed in that one.
I personally feel like more time than that passed in season 3, like a reasonable amount of time, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, but even if it's just 2 years, it's still 13 to go.
No, it is.
Well, it's not even remotely close. So, yeah, interesting that this is something that, an updated version from the writer, maybe incorporating more modern, political issues into stuff that's unfortunately very timeless.
Yeah, I was going to say, does it need to be more modern?
But hey, and then the last thing we've got this week is, where are we here? So, in a competitive situation, Boys Schiller Film Group have optioned the rights to David Ignatius's CIA thriller novel, The Quantum Spy. Probably not for me.
I'm going to take a leap and assume it's pronounced Ignatius.
Ignatius. You're probably right. For series development, marking the company's first foray into TV. So, Quantum Spy is rooted in reality, a story ripped from today's headlines. The 21st century's biggest challenge is a secret twilight struggle between the US and China for mastery of quantum computing technology that is the new Manhattan Project. Hyperfast quantum computers are the digital equivalent of the nuclear bomb, able to shred military-grade encryption and crack any code. The nation who builds a quantum computer first will attain global dominance, and its adversaries will have no security, no safety, and no secrets.
You hate this, don't you?
There's a giant paragraph after this going more into what the book is, but I don't think we need to read it.
No, I get it.
Yeah. I mean, like, depending on the focus of this, depending on how like, if this ends up in CBS, yes, it's exactly everything I fear it would be. If it ends up on, I don't know, like a streaming service, or it ends up on FX, something like that. Like, maybe it could be this gritty, like, almost like, not quite a sci-fi, but like, just tomorrow, just, the day after tomorrow kind of like setting where we could almost be there, and we're going to explore how this will affect the way the world works and things like that.
It could be. It doesn't. From that premise, it doesn't sound like it's going to be doing that. It sounds more about the race to getting there rather than how it will impact it.
Yeah, no, it does. So, yeah, that's the final story. Not much more to add there. So hopefully that news was fun. But we do have obviously some things to say. We have some schedule updates just to tell you what's coming up soon, what's been out in the last week from us, as a sharp random noise from Connor's mic just made your ears bleed.
Don't know what happened there. I didn't even notice. Sorry.
It's your fault anyway. So
probably.
Yes, so what did we have this week? Obviously, we just before we recorded the review for episode 1 of The Spy from Netflix. So that'll already be up by the time this goes up. So you can check out that for sure and see what we thought of that. It's a Sacha Baron Cohen series, 6-episode miniseries based on a true story set in the 60s. So you can see what we thought of that. We did have Too Old to Die Young episode 8 go up this week, and we can confirm that we've already recorded episode 9. So
we have.
That'll be coming in timely fashion early next week. Look for that. And once we're done with that, we're going to shift focus to 3%, which we did do episode 1 of already, like a month or 2 months ago at this point. But once Too Old to Die Young's done, we're going to then shift to 3% as the catch-up thing. So that's coming.
Yes. However, we should mention with 3% that it will be shifting to an audio-only format.
Yes, so this is actually one of the announcements. I was going to wait until I told them about more stuff coming up, but because we have The Deuce coming next week, season 3 starting Monday night now. It's on HBO, so our review should be sometime late Tuesday. And like we said earlier on, The Island, which is a Netflix original starting on Thursday, we'll be checking that out, as well as Unbelievable on the Friday, and Marianne, which is the French show about a witch. So lots of episode 1s next week for us to try, especially on Thursday and Friday. So we're going to have
maybe one of them will be good.
Maybe one will be good.
Either way, so
Yeah. So look forward to that stuff. Yeah. So yeah, to go back to what we're saying about 3%. 3%. And this is not necessarily the Patreon announcement itself. There's a kind of another Patreon announcement coming after this, but basically for some of the shows that we're continuing, because there's someone on Patreon sponsors them, or because it's just something that we really care about that we want to finish, but it doesn't get a lot of YouTube traffic, and is maybe not worth doing the video version for. We will do as audio only. Now, don't worry, there's nothing that'll switch to audio only if it's already like 2/3 through a season or anything like that. But in the case with 3%, we've only done one episode. It's very clearly not going to get a lot of numbers on YouTube, although the audio still does very well. The Netflix audio feed, which you can find a link to in the description. You can find it on all your podcast apps. If you're someone who only watches our content on YouTube and doesn't know where to find it, there's a link in the description. There's a link on Patreon. There's a link in various places, and you can also
just search Mild Fuzz and all our stuff will come up.
Mild Fuzz TV specifically. If you search that on your podcast app, all of our various audio feeds should appear. But yeah, that will be audio only for the rest of the season, and that'll happen from time to time with other reviews where we still want to finish them, but doing the video versions isn't worth the I don't want to say the effort, but isn't worth the.
It's basically
the process,
because of how YouTube works. It can actually hurt us more to have that than to not have it is actually just better for us.
Yes, having a video that doesn't do that well actually hurts other videos more than just not having it in general. But the audio version still does quite well. So, and people obviously the 3% is sponsored by one of our patrons. It is going to get finished, but it will be an audio format now. So. Yes. So that's number one, and that'll happen maybe from time to time. Not super often, I imagine, but occasionally. So just to sort of get used to that idea. And then the other announcement is we have been saying we're working through Firefly right now. We have episode 8 up for public, episode 9's up for patrons because it's early. But the announcement that we've got to make here is that, of course, we're going to be, when we're done with that, we're going to do another already cancelled, and we're going to let patrons vote on what that is. Now, there's two elements to this. We have to announce. One is what the vote's going to be. It's not up yet. It'll be up soon for patrons to vote on. The idea being that when we finish Firefly, we'll know what the winner is, and we can tell you what's coming next. And the 4 options on that vote for a longer already cancelled are going to be. Joe, I knew what they were, and I've just went blank. But anyway, I know what they are. Fringe is going to be one option. The West Wing is going to be an option. The Shield. That's the FX show with the Vic Mackey character, The Shield, and God damn it! Come on,
a hand?
Yeah, tell me.
6 Feet Under.
There you go. 6 Feet Under. Yeah, so 6 Feet Under, The Shield, West Wing, and Fringe are going to be the 4 options that our $5 and up patrons can vote on for what will be our next already cancelled, which will run alongside the other already cancels that we have. But there is an added element to this, which has been decided recently, and that is that already cancelled will be Patreon exclusive. And that may suck for some of you, because obviously some of you will be looking forward to any of those, if not at least some of them. But basically, we've always wanted to give our patrons something from the TV world. Because obviously we have exclusive episodes of Screams After Midnight once a month. We have exclusive episodes of The Ace once per month. Me and Cara do Male Fuzz Mysteries, which is kind of like a movie topic show that we do more or less once per month. But TV folk don't really get any bonuses on Patreon. So, and obviously we're not going to do it with a news show, which is currently airing. That'd be silly.
That's our bread and butter.
So. This will be a Patreon exclusive show, and very possibly will be audio only as well. But will be there, and it will be full. All those shows we just mentioned are at least 5 seasons long. So this is a long form exclusive bit of content for Patreon, and it will be exclusive as well in the $1 tier.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. So while you need to be at the $5 tier to vote on which one it's going to be, maybe you don't care which one it is. Maybe you're just you're happy with any of them, but you want to check that out when it happens.
Yeah, and just to be clear, the reason why the voting's at the $5 tier is because all of our voting's at the $5 tier. That's just a blanket thing. It's a blanket thing between all the votes we have.
Yeah. So maybe you don't care enough to vote, but you want to check it out. Only the $1 tier for that.
Yeah. So yeah, that'll be an exclusive at the $1 tier on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, which is important because it's the way you can support us financially. We always bring it up at the end of the show, sometimes in the middle if it's a longer thing we do. So that's kind of the big announcement, is that there's going to be an already cancelled. It's exclusive to Patreon, just for $1 when it starts. Now, it won't actually be starting until the end of October. That's exclusive already cancelled.
Give or take, yeah.
Yeah, the vote will be done for the start of October, and we will start airing or putting out episodes at the end of October, and they'll be coming as they go.
We'll be announcing the winner, either on this or on the review of Serenity when we get to the end of Firefly, whichever is more appropriate at the time.
I mean, both.
Well, both. We'll mention it on both, but announcing, there's a difference.
Whatever.
Whichever one comes first is the announcement.
It'll be announced in a post.
Fine. Boring.
Oh dear. Well, Joe, what that shows you, it shows that we clearly didn't talk about this. You just made that up in your mind right there and then, and I'm like, what are you talking about? We never talked about this. Why are you telling them this?
If I say it, you can just go along with it and then just be like, yeah, sure, that's what's going to happen.
No, I'm going to belittle you in front of everyone, like the ginger that you are, and do things and make an executive decision and do it the way it should be done.
My way's more interesting.
No, trust me, the belittling you is the more interesting option. It's always the more interesting option. Always. So that's the announcement. Is that there'll be an exclusive already cancelled for patrons at the $1 tier. Lightly audio only. You'll just get the audio files on Patreon. It'll be easy peasy. And if you are someone who uses a podcast app, you can input. If you're a patron, you get like a special RSS feed that's just for your Patreon content. So you can get it through an app as well if you want to. It'll specifically give you the things that you're entitled to through that tier. So that's the thing. And with this as well, there's another little change to the Patreon that's happening with this that I'll mention alongside this, because it's kind of coming at the same time. So $1 patrons are getting a new exclusive thing. They're getting the exclusive already cancelled, which will have a fairly regular schedule. Obviously, it'll probably be kind of similar to what Firefly is right now, where it tries to be weekly, but sometimes we'll skip a week. And that'll probably be the way it works when this comes. You'll get 2 or 3 a month probably, is my guess at this point.
As many as we can, though.
Yeah. But there is something leaving the $1 tier on Patreon, and that is the early access to stuff. That is going to go to the $5 tier with all of the voting stuff. So the idea being is that for the $1 you get all of the sort of pure bonus content, essentially, that's exclusive to Patreon to make it really easy to get all the content. But then the $5 tier has all the voting and all the early access, as well as my Buffy commentaries. So that stuff, $5 tier, $1 tier, all the exclusive shows that you can dig into. So that's the announcement. So there you go.
Yeah. Oh, look, we're looking forward to seeing which show we're going to watch.
I'm intrigued by which one wins. I'm intrigued. So, and obviously everyone above the $5 tier gets to vote as well. That's the way Patreon works. So,
of course, yeah.
So patrons, look out for that vote, which will be coming sometime within the next week. And you can start voting that. You'll have until the end of the month, basically. Same as the movie votes that have already went up. Is you'll have until the end of the month to vote, and we'll see what show we're doing. And it's a big commitment. Now, admittedly, I should clarify, even though I don't expect this to happen with any of these shows, but in the off chance that we both hate the show that wins, we do reserve the right to switch to the runner-up if we hate watching it.
Yeah, just on the there are popular shows that most people like that we don't, for whatever reason. It happens from time to time, just a taste thing. Sometimes something just doesn't work for us.
Yes. So I don't expect it with any of these, but just on the off chance that it happens, I'm just making it clear that if that does happen, we'll just go to the runner-up of the vote and do that instead. But I mean, I've already seen Fringe, so I know I like Fringe. I've also seen The Shield, so I know I like The Shield. So I mean, I'm good with those two. But
yeah, but I mean, the others are unknown quantities for you.
Unknown quantities, but are spoken so highly of that I'm not super worried about wanting to bail. So there you go. So that's the news. Otherwise, like, subscribe, rate the podcast on the podcast app, 5 stars, all that jazz. Check out all the content we do. We mentioned all the TV reviews coming up, but as we said, we've got some movie podcasts that you can check out. Screams After Midnight, the horror movie podcast, the Ace is the Sci-Fi Movie Podcast. Check out those. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. I have to remember what we were talking about in this episode. Have you got any vanilla?